In this video, we'll be finding out what is the typical day for a video game animator. Cool. Tamsin, what is your role and what is a typical day for you?
Recently I've started doing contracting work, so I'm not so involved in the discussions behind why that animation is needed. I'm more like, I go in, they say, we've got this sequence we want to do. What animations do we think we need? Can we do them? You do spend like a lot of time mostly talking to programmers and artists and stuff to just make sure that what you're doing is viable and test the different ways that you can do it. And stuff like how to split up animations, you use a lot of into loop, out of looping stuff, and how is this going to translate across a screen, or is there something in the background we need to have a reference image for, or so have a lot of those discussions before you get started. And then normally my process is, dependent on whether there is time and what the character is, I might film reference, right? And in an ideal world, I think I would always film reference, but it's very contingent on time and stuff. And then if I've done that, I will usually cycle through stuff very slowly, taking sketches, really awful sketches, to try and map out a sequence. And when I say awful, I actually have some here. You can see how bad my kind of sketches are. They make no sense at all to anyone but me. But I think everyone has different kind of standards for their sketches.
Trying to figure out the pose?
Yeah, and the sequence and just the process of doing that is helpful. Even if you come back and you look at it the next day and you're like, what the hell is that? You're just kind of aware where the hips are going. I would then start blocking out the main poses. By and large, I usually do this sort of pose-to-pose method. I think it works, like, generally better for me. Film reference, do some sketches. I'll start doing, like, the poses, the main poses. Then I fill in the anticipation or that sort of thing. And then at some point, you you have to switch the curves on, which is the bit that I bloody hate, because that's when everything goes to shit, basically. You have something that's looking pretty good in block out, and you put the curves on, and all the arms turn the wrong way, and there's just all sorts of weird interpolation going on, and you're like, but so then you have to untangle that a bit, and then do your polish pass, I suppose, if you've got time, where you would do the hair and that sort of stuff.
And then you test it on a target platform?
Do you know what, Chalky? You've made me realise that I've missed a really important step of my day, which is, as soon as I've blocked out those poses, if I can get that in situ on the platform, I will do it. Because one thing that you learn as a games animator is, if you don't test stuff early where it's meant to be used, you're going to find out some pretty surprising things about it. Not only just that the timing is off when you're playing the game, but it can be stuff like something explodes because the export doesn't work, and then you've just done this beautiful animation, you have to chuck it in the bin and change the rig. And so yes, that is a really important point. Get your stuff in situ early on, because there's no other way of like really finding out how it's actually going to look.
I think there's another thing you forgot.
What's that?
Making a coffee!
Oh god, yes, yeah, a barrel of
tea,
coffee.
Maybe. I don't know.
Both.
Coffee?
Both.
Tea.
One for each hand.
Who would have thought that generating just a bit of data would be so involved?
Click here if you want to find out the differences in between big and small games according to Tamsin.